Hi, it's Rupert Hine here from Action Coach near Kinross, and I'm joined today by Nick Forrest from Bonnie Events. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Nick, tell us, who are Bonnie Events?
So, Bonnie Events is a company I started 2.5 years ago. It's just myself. I founded it, and it was a sort of returning back to my old love of running a food truck trailer business. It's always something I've really enjoyed doing is getting out on the road with my food trailer, going to lots of different events, seeing the world really, or Scotland really, but seeing like a lot of Scotland and yeah, so it's two food trucks, myself, a kitchen. We do everything from Murrayfield to the rugby to gala days, weddings, and we do office deliveries as well from our kitchen base. And I've got a really good sort of team behind me in terms of staff. And yeah, that's where we are at the moment. And just yeah, enjoying it. It's hard work as always, and yeah, certainly recently with the economy, it's been tough, but I still really enjoy it.
So you mentioned it's taking you back to your roots, and you first started off what 10 years or so ago in this area. So tell us what took you into mobile catering.
Yeah, quite a good question because yeah, I did not go sort of the conventional way. So I went to university and did a degree in history and journalism, and here I am doing food truck. But I left uni, got a job in a hotel working with food. Really enjoyed cooking. Yeah, just the whole hospitality side. Worked there for a good 2 years whilst I sort of looked at jobs to try more related to my degree and didn't really get anywhere, unfortunately. Little jobs here and there, but nothing concrete. So I always in my mind I had the dream of running my own business, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. This is probably now a better time than ever because I wasn't getting anywhere really, and if it went wrong, then I was just back to sort of square one, looking for another job. So I thought there wasn't much to lose apart from obviously the a little bit of the financial side, but that was where the food business, the trailer came into it, was because I looked at the investment needed, and it wasn't going to. It's still a lot of money, but it wasn't going to cripple me, and it was just I didn't have a family at that point. It was just me, so I wasn't depending on others. So that was why I got in the food trailer business. And at the time, there wasn't that much food trailers around, food trucks. It was very much a sort of low growing business at that time. Now it's obviously exploded onto the scene, but thought there was a wee gap in the market. And then the Mexican side of it came uh, purely just because I enjoyed making Mexican food, but also because I looked around and there wasn't, that much, Mexican choices. It was all burgers, pizzas, and I thought, there's no burritos, so let's give it a go. And then I sort of that was when I brought in the Scottish twist as well because I'm not Mexican, as you can tell. So I didn't want to sort of portray myself as this, doing authentic Mexican food. So I brought in the sort of Scottish side. So we do like haggis burritos and iron brew pulled pork and stuff like that.
Fantastic. So you so this is you can see the evolution from one one food truck created the Scottish twist and the experience, and you've got yourself that niche that you've set yourself apart in terms of Mexican food with a Scottish twist. You've fast forward 8 years and you're setting up an events company that does multiple trailers and has the outside catering business. But along the way, you've also established a sauce brand. So how did you do that?
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like snowballed really. So I mean, the food trailer again, like I said, it was less risk. So I wanted to see how it went first, and rather than be go for a shop that you're tied in for 10 years, at least for example, and then if it goes badly, you're in real trouble. If I was in trouble, I could just sell the trailer and just get back to the start. So yeah, with the trailer, it was a great way of like testing everything. So the sauces came about because I put sauces into the burritos, and then eventually, customers were asking me, look, would you ever think about selling these sauces? I never would have really thought about it unless, people didn't say they enjoyed it. And then that kind of just, I was like, you know what, now that you're saying it, like, yeah, I would maybe think about it. So yeah, just looked into it. And then we had to, at this time, my business partner joined me. So the two of us kind of came up with, recipes and then a design. We got really lucky. We had a really good graphic designer at the time, which I would really recommend if you can find a good graphic designer, who came up with a really cool design based on what, we wanted. Like, so we gave him ideas, but he did it. And then the design was really cool. And then the name, the Bonnie sauce, kind of came from just the Bonnie burrito. Is we wanted to keep that Bonnie brand. And then yeah, we then had to find someone to actually make the sauces because we could make them, but it's such a tricky business because if you don't have the machines, you've got to be so right with like what you're putting in ingredients wise, measurements. So to get that consistency, we found a sort of third party to make the sauces for us. We gave them the recipe and then they made it. And so yeah, and then we came up with a good deal, and then it was just a case of getting out there and selling it. And thankfully, the customers they enjoyed having them there, and then yeah, we managed to get into a few places, which was really great.
So you mentioned the value of the graphic designer.
Mhm.
What what did that do for you?
I think I mean, it's so difficult to sort of put a valuation on it, because I honestly don't think the brand, I don't think that we would have got as far without that branding. I think it really stood out, and it was one of those where as soon as I saw the branding, I was just like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. And it was just someone who, a friend of a friend, got in touch, and yeah, he just kind of got it immediately. Um, and it was just so good to have him there to sort of like whenever we needed something branded, we would speak to him, and he just knew our business and what we were trying to go for. So anyone getting into this industry, I would sort of really recommend, unless you're a graphic designer yourself, of course, I would always say, yeah, like, and I don't go for just the first person you see, but like speak to them and find the perfect one for you and who really understands what you're trying to put out there. But if you get it right, yeah, I really think it made such a difference for us.
Yeah, so all about helping you stand out and be memorable.
Yeah, that's it, because the product is obviously probably the most important thing. It has to taste good, but the reality is there's lots of people doing very similar stuff, and it's how you stand out. So good service is obviously a very big one, but yeah, like you want something to catch that eye, and I think we got that. People would walk past and they would see us and they would know immediately that was our brand. So yeah, no, it was. I think it's so important just to stand out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the challenge you've got is that unless people have actually visited one of your food trucks and had the opportunity to taste it firsthand, before they get to know whether they like it or not, they've got to pick it off the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going to. And reality is they're not going to go for it if it's a plain white trailer, or they might do, but like if you're in amongst the crowds, you want people to be like, oh, that looks classy, or that's kind of a really cool vibe. And yeah, and like you said, if they haven't tried the product, then yeah, they're not going to know until you need something there to sort of attract them in.
Yeah, so I mean, you've had, I guess, two big marketing challenges there. The one we've just talked about, getting getting consumers to pick the bottle up, take it to the checkout, give it a try, keep buying it, put it on their favorites list. Um, and the second, which is getting it on the shelf in the first place. How much of a challenge was it to get stocked on the shelf?
Yeah, like it was tricky to start with. because a lot of people hadn't tried the sauces. So there's a lot of like, going to each individual shop, wholesaler, retailer, and giving them a chance to try the sauce, but also getting a chance to meet you as well, because emails are great, but I think if you're wanting to build a relationship, you want to get that face to face. This is probably before Zoom as well, so we didn't have all that when we first started. I mean, you could, but like it wasn't as big as it is now. So yeah, meeting them and just getting them to sort of back the product, because in the end of the day, once you give it to them, that's not your job finished, because you want them to keep rebuying it, and they're going to be your salespeople, because you can't be in their shop, all the time. So you want them to be, really proud to be selling this in their shop or wherever it is, and therefore you want to get on with them and build up a relationship. So yeah, once we got that relationship built up, it became easier. Like people were good at reordering and the product did sell quite well, which helped. But yeah, it's a lot of hard work at the start, getting it, a lot of miles on the car, trying to drop in and see everyone, and then we also had to work out a place where to store all the sauces as well. So that was another tricky situation. Was do we get a warehouse somewhere where we can store it, or yeah, do we find someone else? But yeah, so lots of challenges.
And now you've gone from, well, you've taken the focus back into servicing events. So what challenges did you come across in going back into the events world?
Yeah, so it probably wasn't great timing because COVID hit. um, so yeah, not the best when that arrived, because all the events got cancelled. But thankfully, we were able to keep the shop open, and we actually, I don't like saying it, because it was a really tough time for people. The shop did actually quite well, because a lot of places were closed, so less competition, and then the VAT dropped, so that helped, and then the commission from delivery companies dropped as well, because they were trying to encourage people to order, so that really helped as well. So when I first started the food trucks, yeah, I had to basically hold off for a wee bit, because there just weren't any events coming in. But thankfully everything changed, and the events started to pick up. And what I would say is that first year back, there was a real demand for people wanting to get out and experience events and get and see people and live life again. And so the first year back was actually quite a good time to get involved, because there was that real demand for events. So we were getting booked up quite a lot, and that was why we had two trucks, because we couldn't, the demand was too high for one. And yeah, then I had to find a kitchen to sort of do all my prep from, and to keep the shop side of the business separate from the food truck side. So yeah, so that was the challenge at the start, was probably just having to accept, I was maybe going to have to wait a few years, and trying to find a kitchen as well. That was a struggle, but once I found it, it was great.
So what's next?
Ooh, what is next? So I would love to get another trailer. I think that would be we're still getting quite a lot of demand, so another food truck would be great, or a van, or something along those lines. I would like to do a lot more office orders. We do quite a few office orders a month, but I would like to do more. I think it's a great thing to have there, because I think we give like platters of burritos, and it seems to go down well with the guys we do order. So it's just a case of we probably need to market a bit more. So that's something looking into. But yeah, I think that's probably as far as I'm looking ahead at the moment right now. Yeah, because it just don't know what's going to happen around the corner. But right now, that's on my thoughts is that, and maybe even looking at my own markets as well. Like we do so many markets, and they're always so well attended. I think people really love getting out to a local market and seeing what local producers are showcasing, and I'd love to be someone who can sort of showcase other people's products as well, because I think there's some really, interesting stuff out there. But we just need, maybe more opportunities for people to get their stuff out there. And so yeah, and having done it for a few years now, like I know kind of what it takes, and so yeah, that's maybe something as well I'd look at into.
So when you look back, what's the one piece of advice you'd give the 18-year-old Nick starting out?
Oh, good question. Well, one thing I would say is that, and it comes from a really good place, but everyone wants to give you advice and sort of tell you what you should be doing and stuff. And I think it's really important to listen to them as well. But I always think it's, at the end of the day, it is your business. So try not to, like, I would always try and say, like, think what you yourself, like, your gut feeling. At the end of the day, it's your product. I remember we jumped into a shop, a second shop, very early on in the business, and I didn't have a good feeling about it, but I was told, you got to go for it. It's going to be it, and it wasn't the right location, and in the end, it closed after a year. And I remember thinking, like, I maybe should have just trusted my instinct there rather than following everyone. But like I said, it is from a good place. Everyone wants, but at the end of the day, it's your product, and the thing is, if it doesn't go well, it's not them that has to deal with it, sort of thing. So they've got that safety nets. But like, yeah, it all comes from a good place. But that would be one bit of advice I'd give.
Yeah, I was listening to somebody else the other day who said something very similar. And in their case, it was particularly don't listen to family. Uh, find your business mentors, listen to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Your
Well,
family
certainly
to-
professionals,
because
they're fine.
and a lot of that's because family want the best for you, and so
Yes,
quite often they're a bit too conservative. They're being a bit too protective.
absolutely. They want the best. But yeah, you've got to learn yourself and walk on your own 2 feet, as they say. And but family. I've been very lucky. My family have been so good to me in terms of support, and they've always sort of you know been there for me when things have been tough, and even just if you need to talk to someone, because it's a lonely business, this being a business owner. So it's nice to have that support behind me as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love the way you've described it. Just you've got to listen to the people around you. Just evaluate it yourself.
Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's so true, so true. Look, Nick, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And
No, no, thank you.
best of luck. I'm sure food trap number three, four, five will come along in due course. And wish you all
Maybe.
the luck in the future.
Thank you, Rupert. I really appreciate it. It's been great chatting to you.